Okay, so my video cut off right here when I was going along, so I did a little more. I was saying, okay, so we know that 1 over 4c is equal to a, so we put in our a value, which is negative 1/12, and then I can cross multiply. That's one way to solve this. So 4c times negative 1 is negative 4c. 12 times 1 is 12. Divide, and we have our c value. So then we know our focus, our c value when it's y equals, is in the y spot, and we'd have a 0. So we know the focus is at 0, negative 3. Now the directrix would be the opposite sign, so it's y equals 3. And I'm not going to graph this one, but you could easily graph this one. All right, so let's look at what if it was a horizontal one. So what if I said y equals, x equals y squared divided by negative 5. So what would be our focus again and our directrix if I know this information here? All right, so this one, we still know 1, you could think of it as 1 over negative 5 is our a, even though it's now in the x equals form. So we know 1 over negative 5 is going to equal our 1 over 4c. That's the way we find our 4c there. So 4c times 1 is 4c. Negative 5 times 1 is negative 5, and you divide, and this one is going to give us a decimal. So we could leave it as negative 5/4, or you could divide it. I can't remember. I think the book likes it as a decimal. So negative 1.25. And ours is a negative on our c. So we got to remember then, okay, if it's a negative for the c value, and this is x equals, then our focus is going to be negative 1.250. And the directrix is going to be found at x equals 1.25. Opposite signs. Right? And the C is the one on the focus. And let's draw this one just because we haven't seen a lot of the ones that are on the horizontal parabolas. So let's look at this graph. And we could just plug in points from our original. That would be fine as well. But we know here's 1, here's 2. Here's 1, here's 2. Or negative 1, negative 2. And we know the directrix is at 1.25, so we'll just say it's about right here, right? That looks like about a fourth of the way there. And we know the point negative 1.250 is the focus. And then we could plug in points and see that it is going to look something like that. Okay? And we could plug in points and get some more exact spots by just plugging in. We usually plug in an x. You'd probably want to plug in a y and then square it and divide it by 5. So we could do easy numbers like 5, because we know 5 squared is 25, which is divisible by negative 5. And that would be kind of some easier ways to think about putting in numbers for your graph. Let's see. I think the only other one that I kind of wanted to show you, do I have room on my other paper? I do in this one. I just didn't want to waste a whole other piece of paper for this problem. Okay, so what if I had, I think this is my fourth question, y minus 8x equals 0. So what if I had something like this? Oops, I need a square on something. There we go. If I had something like this, y squared minus 8x equals 0, how could I graph this? How would I know how to graph it? Is it horizontal? Is it vertical? Parabola? How would I know? Well, you would look for what is squared, which is our y, and you would solve for the other letter. So I'm going to solve for x on this one. First, I'm going to subtract that y squared over to the 0. So I would have negative 8x equals 0 minus y squared, which is just negative y squared. Now I'm going to divide by that -8 to solve for our x value. So I'm going to have x equals negative over negative is a positive, so it would be y squared over 8. And then you could see, all right, that's horizontal. I can usually use the a value of 1/8 and find that the c is 2 and go from there for any other information you need to find. So sorry you have to watch two separate videos for something happened to my other one, but there's a couple examples on parabolas.